What's up, best friend? What's up, best friend? What's up, best friend? I am so excited. I am so I am so excited. In spite of the day that I've had. In spite of the day that I've had. Um, welcome. Those of you that are live with me, please do me a favor. Please do me a favor, and share it and share it. And here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. I do believe that whenever we're faced with, oh, that was not supposed to happen. I do apologize for that. I do believe that whenever we're faced with obstacles, whenever we're faced with obstacles and hurdles, there's always going to be a very positive outcome as a result of it. And so, I have to tell you that today was one of those days for me. Today was one of those days for me. It was. It started out with me going to see two of my clients for coaching, and receiving a call about 1 o'clock. Receiving a call about 1 o'clock saying that I was the place I went to rent yesterday to the place that I went to rent yesterday for to do my lives at um, the place that I went to do my I rented out yesterday to do my lives at called me about 1 o'clock, 1:30 or so, and they informed me that they had made a mistake and double booked the room that I was going to be at, and so that room would not be available. And so it it kind of got me a little frustrated, but um, and all things just started going over and over and over. So like I say, I firmly believe that oftentimes when we're hit with obstacles and hurdles unexpected like that, I'm a firm believer that oftentimes that means that there's going to be a breakthrough for us or for somebody, depending on what the source is. And so tonight is one of those deals. I think tonight is going to be a breakthrough for somebody in their relationships. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you for a favor. I'm going to ask you for a favor. I need you to do me a favor and share this. I need you to do me a favor and share this for me. Um, because I know it's going to be great for somebody. I know it's going to be great for somebody. And so, therefore, I want you to share this with as many people as you can. I want you to share this with as many people as you can for me. Okay. Because, like I say, somebody's going to watch this show tonight. And as I said, I think I said in my post earlier, I say, please watch it with your significant other. Please watch it with your significant other. One of the things we're going to be doing tonight is one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at communication in relationships. Communication in relationships. Okay, which I said last week that relationships, love, relationships, there's levels to it. Okay, so when I say levels to it, I want to think in terms of committed relationships as well as marriages. Okay, and I have to tell you all, it was such a rough day that I came home. I wanted to be sure that I was presentable for you all. So I went and I I showered, put on some smell good and everything, and and just freshen up. So best friend, once again, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for joining me tonight, and for being here. Okay. Um, Even though you can't smell me, I am smelling good. Showered, freshened up, and everything. Got the got the beard and everything looking good. The goatee looking good. So yeah. So we're ready. So we're ready. Um, are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Once again, welcome, best friend. Welcome, best friend, to Life, Love, and Loud Truth with Darrell. I do have a couple of I do have a couple of real quick I do have a couple of real quick um, disclaimers that I have to do. Okay, one of those disclaimers I have to do is um, everything you hear during this live, the views and everything are mine. They're not associated with anybody else. Not associated with anybody else. They're mine completely. And and so I just want everybody to know that I'm not a professional. I'm not here to do counseling. I'm not here to do counseling. And so I want to make that clear. I want to make that clear. Okay, only because of the fact that I need everybody to understand that there are times that coaches can't do what needs to be done. There's times that professional help may be needed. So I am just a relationship coach. I say relationship expert. But either way, let's get started. Best friend, welcome to Life, Love, and Loud Truth with DJ. Life, Love, and Loud Truth with DJ. That's me. TikTok, those of you following, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. We're going to be looking at, once again, communication in a relationship. Communication in a relationship. I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to jump right in. As I said on my first live on Monday, I want to keep these anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. However, tonight, because I know that tonight is going to be a very good conversation, I am willing to go over if you all are interacting and is needed. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. Okay, one of the questions that I had posed to a group of young people, a group of people that I interact with, I asked, is honesty always the best policy in relationships? Is honesty always the best policy in relationships? And guys, I have to tell you, I was really taken by some of the things I heard. Taken by some of the things I heard. I even had one of my former clients to tell me. He said, "Darrell, my wife and I went to marriage counseling." He said, and right before we contacted you, he said our therapist actually told me that I was too honest for my wife, and I need to understand that not everybody can accept complete honesty. And he shared that with me, and I was like, wow. And this was years ago. This was years ago. I was really shocked. I was really shocked and just taken aback that's what he was told by a therapist. Okay, but either way, we're gonna look at that tonight. So I want you all to tell me what you think. I want you all to tell me what you think. Okay, is honesty always the best policy when it comes to relationships, our marriages? Um, the people that we love, the people that are significant others, is honesty always the best policy? And is there a such thing as too much honesty? Okay, too much honesty. So one of the things I want to clear out first of all. One of the things I want to clear out first of all is that in relationships and marriages, we are the sum of our experiences. We are the total of our experiences. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that if you take someone that has never been in a committed relationship, they are open to everything. They're open to everything. You take someone that's been in multiple relationships that has resulted in ending or termination, then that's experience. Unfortunately, a lot of times those experiences without help leads to what's called baggage. Okay, leads to what's called baggage. Especially if we don't work through the baggage to get things resolved. Okay, so it leads to a lot of baggage. Okay, but so just keep that in mind. I have to give one more disclaimer real quick. One more disclaimer real quick, and that disclaimer is simply this. That disclaimer is simply this. Daniel Raleigh, Rachel, Stacy, Jennifer, Can't Do, TikTok, thank you all for joining tonight. Thank you all for joining tonight. Um, as I said earlier, please share this for me if you don't mind. Jennifer Michael, thank you for joining tonight. Thank you for joining on TikTok. As I said earlier, please share this with somebody because tonight's conversation is going to be for somebody to have a breakthrough in their relationship, in their marriage. Okay, guaranteed. I Tate, thank you for joining. Um, Love, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I have one more disclaimer to give, and this is going to be really quick. One more disclaimer to give. It's going to be really quick. Okay, that disclaimer is simply this. Okay, when I teach classes at work, I ask just one or two, maybe three takes from people. One is that we are open minded, realizing that we only know what we know. Okay, we only know what we know. What do I mean by that? If I take an auto mechanic, if I take an auto mechanic, he could be the best auto mechanic in the world and can work on any car in the world. Okay, however, I take my moped to him because my moped or my motorcycle is not working right, or my e-bike. Guess what? He'll be dumbfounded. Why? Because he's the best auto mechanic in the world. He's used to working with four wheels. He's not used to working with two wheels. Joyce Perry, Lisa Hudson, okay, Ben. Thank you all for joining on TikTok. Thank you all for joining on TikTok. Okay, please share this with someone. Please share this with someone. Okay, once again, he's not accustomed to working with two wheels. He's accustomed to working with four wheels. He's an auto mechanic. Okay, so once again, as I said, we have to understand that we only know what we know until we expand what we know. Okay, the other one is um, making sure that we are open to realizing that sometimes it is difficult to address what we're afraid to acknowledge. What do I mean by that? Let's take the topic tonight: communication and relationships. Let's take communication and relationships. Um, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Mona? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Um, let's take for instance. Let's take for instance the topic tonight: communication and relationships. Okay. We can't you can't address what you're afraid to acknowledge. Jerry Bushnell, Shay, thank you for joining. You can't address what you're afraid to acknowledge. All I simply mean by that is if you know that your communication is not the best, guess what? You can never ever change it if you're refusing to acknowledge that it may not be the best. Okay, those two things. It's hard, difficult, almost impossible to address what we're afraid to acknowledge. And two, we don't know what we don't know. Okay, with that said, let's continue. Let's continue. Guys, please, once again, I just want to say real quick, please share this. It will be uploaded to YouTube later. However, I'm waiting for YouTube to clear me for live, which should be done by tomorrow. So next time, this will be live on YouTube as well. But please share this, guys, because tonight's episode is going to be a breakthrough or a big change for somebody in their relationships. Um, in their relationship, guaranteed, guaranteed. Okay, communication relationship. Okay, first things first. First thing first. I often say that in relationships and marriages, one of the things that we fail to communicate is what we expect. What we expect. Christian, thank you for the stars on TikTok. Angelina, thank you for joining in. Okay, we have to understand that without expectations, anything is possible. Okay, years ago, I worked at this place in up in Mansfield by the name of Abraxas, and they had one of their policies. One of their policies was that before we did anything with the young man that we were working with, we set the expectation. This was multiple times a day, multiple times a day. Now, when I say multiple times a day, guys, this was before we move to any activity. We set the expectation. Okay, how to line up, what's expected. Okay, Ron, thank you for joining in. Angelina, thank you for joining in. We set the expectation. Why? Because what I realized was that without the expectation, then the possibility of saying I didn't know was always going to be relevant. Okay, ICE agent Kathy, thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in. Please share this. Please share this live with someone, please, because like I say, it is going to be something that someone is going to have a good takeaway from. Okay, it setting that expectation. Setting that expectation simply took away the excuse of I didn't know. Simply took away the excuse of I didn't know. Okay, so one of the things with communication, we always want to make sure that we are prioritizing what's expected. What's expected. Okay, now let's go back to the main topic: communication. Communication. That oftentimes is a problem. Why? Because as adults, we all think that we know what works. We all think that we know what's worked. Matter of fact, I'm going to take out the word as adults. I'm going to take out the word as adults, and I'm going to say that as people. Okay. Kritisna, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining in. Please make sure you share it. Please make sure you share it for me, please. Here's why. Here's why. I realize I'm working with teenagers. I realize I'm working with youth, with children. Guess what? The same thing happened. Oh, guys, by the way, this is interactive. This is interactive. Please, you can please comment on the website, darrelljames.org, DARRELLJAMES.org, darrelljames.org. You can comment on there. I will see it and respond to it. You can comment on here, wherever you're watching this, I will comment. Okay, respond to it, or you can actually call in 614-205-0391. 614-205-0391. Call in and literally interact with me. Okay, I will tell you guys I don't have the ability to mask your voice yet. Tiny, thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in. I don't have the ability to mask your voice yet, so if you're watching it with your significant other, please do something to mask your voice if you don't want your voice to be recognized. Okay. So now, as I was saying, one of the things we have to do is when it comes to communication, we have to be able to say what we need. Okay. Set the tone with communication. Oftentimes, people don't like to do that. Why? Because we like to think that we already know the answers. Okay. I see this every day with 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, especially teenagers. Okay. Adults. Okay, adults. I do a workshop on setting the tone for relationships and marriages, where I simply tell people, and singles and couples that come out, that we have to teach our significant others how to love us. And guys, I'm gonna tell you, it is amazing how many people don't like the thought of that. Why? Because as adults, why should I have to teach him or her how to love me? Why should I have to teach him or her how to love me? Here's why. I'm going to make it very simple. Because if we don't teach them how to love us, then guess what? If we don't communicate to our significant other or whoever we're with how to love us, then guess what? They're going to love us the same way in which they loved everyone prior to us. Let me make it even simpler. They're going to love us in the same way that they loved all of their exes. Did anyone catch that? They're going to love us in the same way that they loved all of their exes. Now, what does that mean? That means that it's very possible that, with that said, it's very possible that if we don't teach them how to love us, we are at some point going to become the next ex. Did everyone catch that? Let me repeat it. Let me repeat that. If we don't teach our significant others or whoever we're with how to love us, then it's very possible. Well, it's not very possible. It simply means they're going to love us in the same way that they loved all of their exes. They're going to love us in the same way that they loved all of their exes. Okay? Now, here's the catch, guys. Here's the catch. Please pull out your gloves and get ready to catch this. Please pull out your gloves, get ready to catch this. Okay, palms are open, get ready to catch. If we don't teach them how to love us, they're going to love us the same way they loved all their exes. Which, guess what that means? Eventually, you're going to become one of their exes. You're going to become one of their exes. Jay, thank you for the star on TikTok. Thank you for the star on TikTok. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to give you an example that happened at a workshop I did. I'm going to give you an example of what happened in the workshop. And keep in mind, guys, we're looking at communication. This lady, she got really upset. She got really upset. Winston, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining in. She got really upset. She said, I'm not going to teach no grown man how to love me. I'm not going to teach no grown man how to love me. I said, fine. I said, fine. I said, why don't you come up here for me? Why don't you come up here for me? She came up on the platform, and I asked her, I said, hold my hand. Hold my hand. You guys, she went to hold my hand, and she held my hand the same way that you will hold your child's hand. You know, if you can see, I want to make sure everyone can see this. Excuse me. She held my hand like this. I simply smacked her hand. Don't hold my hand like that. I'm a grown man. Don't hold my hand like that. Like that. I want you to hold my hand, interlock my fingers. Why? Because if it's interlocked, guess what? Nothing can come between us. Nothing can come between us if we're interlocked. Okay? Even if someone were to come through and walk through, they're going to have a hard time breaking our interlock. Okay? She say, yeah, I like that. I like that. And I say, so do you see what just happened? If you hold my hand the way that you like to hold hands, you would have never known the way I like to hold hands. Okay? She looked at me. Ah, you got me. No, I don't. I just wanted to show you something. I just wanted to show you something. Okay? And guys, she sat down and I said, yeah, all right. Yeah, please go have a seat. You know, she went down and had a seat. Okay? That's just a prime example. We have to teach our significant other how to love us. Okay? How to love us. Down to the point of what we expect in our communication, what we expect in our everyday interactions. Okay? I'm going to give you one more example. I coached a client who had been married to a younger lady and an older lady at one point in his life. Older lady and a younger lady at one point in his life. The younger lady, her expectations of cheating was, I know, Creole, Mickey, thank you for joining in. Her expectation was cheating is anything you do that you won't want me to do with someone of the opposite sex or whoever. Okay, cheating is anything you do that you won't want me to do. Okay, that was cheating. That was cheating in her eyes. That was cheating in her eyes as the younger woman he had dated at an earlier period in his life. Okay, that marriage ended. He ended up marrying an older lady. Okay, an older lady. And in that marriage, he said, Darrell, I did the same thing. He said, I did the same thing. He said, I asked her what was her ideal of cheating. What was her ideal of cheating? Her ideal was cheating is any interactions with someone of the opposite sex that you don't call me first and let me know about. Guys, I was outdone. I say, and are you still married? He said, no. I said, I didn't think so. And he said, why would you say that, Darrell? Why would you say that? I said, well, you know, from when when I coached you prior, okay, insecurities is the quickest way to end a relationship or a marriage. Okay, so her telling you that was some flags of insecurities. Okay, but either way, guys, we have to communicate down to the exact our expectations. We have to teach the other person how to love us, what we expect. Okay, TikTok, I really thank all of you for joining. Please share this. Because somebody is going to have a really good breakthrough from tonight's discussion. Okay, somebody's going to have a really good breakthrough from tonight's discussion. Okay, so once again, guys. Okay, we have to be willing to communicate down to the exact what we expect. Okay, expectations have to be prioritized. Leaving nothing out. Okay, now I know some of y'all tuned in and y'all saw the heading. Um, y'all saw the heading of is honesty the best policy, and is there a such thing as too much honesty and all that. I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to build up to it first. I'm going to build up to it first. Okay. So with communication, we have to make sure our expectations are detailed. Okay, Franklin. Wow, somebody's name is Jesus Christ on TikTok. I am honored. I mean, just I actually prayed before I did the live um, that things come to me tonight that's going to touch somebody. So, but you know, Jesus Christ, I'm happy that you joined in. I am so happy. I'm honored that you joined in. Okay, but either way, guys, we have to make sure that we're prioritizing our expectations down to the exact. Okay, communication. We have to be very open of what we expect. We have to be very open of what we expect. Okay, once again, guys, please remember this is interactive. Share your thoughts on the live wherever you're watching. Please share your thoughts, or you can actually call in 614-205-0391, 614-205-0391. You can also respond on my website. I have my tablet open to my left here um, with comments on there, and I'm trying to respond to make sure I can address any concerns or questions we might have. Okay, with that said, guys, communication is vital. Okay, communication is vital. Okay, um, I one of the relationship books I'm actually working on now um, is I'm looking at the fact of it's really crazy how some people get in relationships and marriages and we just expect just because of age and experience that the other person knows how to read our mind. Now, guys, funny thing is I think I told you, I think I shared on the first live on Monday night that I do consider that I have ADHD. I think it transferred to me from working with some of the children and young people I've worked with in the past. But either way, I do a lot of stuff. One of the things that I do is, and I want to learn is I want to learn magic. I want to learn magic. Okay, Wanda, thank you for joining in. I want to learn magic. Here it is, because magic can be a great distraction. Magic can be a great distraction. Okay. Also, another distraction when it comes to communication can be the fact of not communicating, thinking that someone knows exactly what we're thinking. Okay, so let's relate it to communication, what we're talking about. Oftentimes, a lot of times, we don't communicate, and instead of taking any kind of accountability, we will say, well, why didn't you know? Okay, simple. Let me answer that. Let me answer that without knowing the situation. We didn't know because we couldn't read your mind. Very simple, very easy. Okay, we didn't know because we couldn't read your mind. Okay, so guys, when it comes to communication, we have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to communicate. We have to be willing to communicate, not just assume that people know what we're thinking and what we're expecting. Okay, goes back to where I worked at in the past. Um, Kirsten, thank you a lot for the hearts here on TikTok. Okay, we have to be able to communicate. Okay, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Um, Before we get to communication, there is some other stuff which I guess I should have did a lead up to before communication. One is accountability. One is accountability. Okay, when it comes to communication, setting the expectation, prioritizing the expectation, we have to be willing to teach the other person what we're expecting, what we want, how to communicate with us, how to communicate with us. Okay, for me, I've worked with people, I've worked with children, I work with elderly, I work with inmates, corrections. I've done the whole field, of working with people, the whole field of working with people. I know you're shocked because you're thinking he looks way too young to have worked with that many people and everything, but by the grace of God, I am holding my age pretty good. Okay, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. We have to understand. We have to understand that we have to hold ourselves accountable uh, if we want things to get better. Here's a big deal about change. In order for change to happen, change have to happen. In order for change to happen, change have to happen. Okay, nothing changes without change. Nothing changes without change. So, recognizing communication that we wanted to get better. Okay, first there has to be some form of accountability. Okay, so we said with communication, set the expectation, prioritize what's important, and da da da. We also have to be willing to teach people how to communicate with us. Okay, what I mean by that? What I mean by that? Now that I'm working with younger children, okay, I started backwards. I started working with senior citizens and then adults and then juveniles, teens, and da da da. Now with children. What I found out is that oftentimes working with children, there are children that that knows how to manipulate. There are young people that knows how to manipulate. Okay, therefore, that 5 minute conversation may turn into a 20-minute conversation based upon the fact that you recognize the manipulation that's occurring and you refuse to allow it to happen. So it may take a longer conversation. Okay, let's take that with adults. Let's take that with adults. Okay. Um, Based upon experience, one of the things I realized, based upon experience, one of the things I realized is that when I worked a prior job I had working at a domestic violence shelter, one of the things I realized was that some people don't respond well to a lower or nicer tone. Why? Because they have become grounded in the trauma they experience, in the loud tones, the aggressive tones, the profanity, the loudness. Okay, so those people, of course, yeah, we have to work with them a little bit longer, a little bit more of a process. Okay, but with that said, it depends on the outcome of what you're wanting from that. The outcome of what you're wanting from that. Okay, if you're in this relationship and you say, "I refuse to give up. I refuse to uh, to not give up on the person I love," then guess what? Then that simply means that you're going to do that. You're going to do that. Um, Coach Mike, thank you. Coach Mike, thank you. Coach Mike, thank you for joining in. Okay. Um, so you have to be willing to recognize that. You have to be willing to recognize that. In another episode, maybe next week or maybe the week after that, I'm going to look at one of the topics of discussions. The topics of discussion I'm going to look at with the relationships is: Am I accountable for the baggage that my significant other brings into the relationship? Okay, am I somebody just said, let's hit that now. I'm not going to hit that one now. I'm not going to hit that one now because that one is a long conversation. That one is a long conversation. As I said, I like to go 45 minutes to an hour. That's at least a 3 hour conversation, a 3 hour conversation. And um, so someone just asked if you communicate and they hear what they want to hear versus what you're saying versus what you're saying. Okay, so guys, here it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, once again, if you set the expectations of your communication at the beginning, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I expect you to be honest with me. Okay, we have to be willing to simply say, uh, we have to simply be willing to say the hard stuff, the hard. We have to be willing to say the really hard conversations. Now, what do I mean by the really hard conversations? Okay, what I mean by the hard conversations, guys, is those hard conversations. Of course, simply takes time. Simply takes time. Okay, so we have to be willing to get through the difficulties. The difficulties. So I'm talking to you, and guess what? I know that you're not agreeing to anything I'm saying. You're not agreeing to anything I'm saying. Then it's very possible I have to look at how I'm saying it. I have to look at how I'm saying it. Okay. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Okay. I was recently talking to a mom. I was recently talking to a mom, and she was really angry and upset. She was really upset because she said her daughter never ever listens to anything she say. Her daughter never listens to anything she say. And she said, Darrell, I'm at the point to where I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. And I asked her, I say, so let's role play it. Let's pretend I am your daughter. Let's pretend I'm your daughter. Come to me and tell me something that you want me to do. Okay? And I want you to be very honest with me and tell me in the terms of how you would tell your daughter. She said, all right, great, I'll do it. So guys, I have to tell you how she did this. Okay. We pretended there was a door. We pretended there was a door. And we pretended there was a door, and she came in, and she simply said, um, "Hey, I need you to come and clean your room immediately." And I said, "All right, all right, all right." So let's reframe it. Let's reframe it. Okay. Let's reframe it. We have to do it a little bit different. Okay, because sometimes when we're communicating with people, we have to be able to communicate at the level in which they're receiving the communication. Okay. So let me do it. Okay. Hey, honey. Um, I need a huge favor. I need a huge favor. Okay. I need you to take responsibility and clean your room up a little bit better for me. Okay. Because it's something I need from you right now. Okay. And then trying a softer approach. Of course, mom didn't like hearing that. Why? Because she's the mom. She's the mom. She didn't like hearing that. Okay. So that in itself is something that we have to understand. I do have a caller, guys. I do have a caller. So communication. Hey, welcome to Life, Love, and Loud Truths. What's going on?
This thing on?
It's on. It's on.
Okay.
Like I hear you loud and clear, and you are coming
So,
across.
brother, so two things. Because, look, the people who hear my voice in the beginning, they're going to be like, that's just crazy. They was never told again. So, first of all, I say, you look so good, man. Your head is so shiny. You got to get your picture because my head might be blustering like that, man. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so, number one, your uh, setup looks good, but your face on Facebook, your face keeps going in and out, like somebody's playing like AI or something. I don't know if you see it, but we see it.
So it's saying there's a glitch on Facebook. I do apologize. It's still saying that my
It's
F.
working fine. It's working fine. It's just that it's like almost your jawbone is going in and. It's like Facebook trying to give you some of the weight you lost back or something. For real,
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So so
Facebook being cruel. Because I
so
looked, when I went on TikTok, I was like, okay, it looks fine here, a different thing, but yeah. So it's just trying to sabotage it.
Facebook is saying that my FPS is too low. I'm not sure what that
Oh,
means. I am going to
okay.
check into it. I have reached out.
Yeah.
I have reached out for support to see.
hmm
It just popped up again. Too low FPS, which my frame rate
Yeah,
15
frames
is
per second is
yeah.
what that is,
That's it.
but yeah, you ain't never worry about that because you look good. You look fine. It's just, again, it's just that. Okay, so I do want to call in because I just left out the gym and I saw your post and I said, well, I'll call and I'm glad you did tonight instead of last night because last night I was finishing up a class teaching and I had
Yes.
to drive this morning, the show. So anyway, Atlanta earlier, and then I just left the gym. So your question, okay, now remind me. Your question
My
was
question
the best. Yeah, go
is
ahead.
is
Remind me, and then I'll give you my answer.
all right. Definitely. Is honesty always the best policy? Is honesty always the
hmm
best policy in a relationship or a marriage? Is there such thing as too much honesty, or or do we have a right to hold back? Okay, do we have a right to
hmm
hold back? Only because there's a belief out there that not everybody can handle the truth. You know that I think it was a Burger King commercial. You can't handle the truth. So
Right.
that's a belief. That's a belief. What do you think? Relationships, marriages. What do you think? Committed relationships.
It's a topic, right? So I want to give you my nickel. I can't give you my 2 cents because, this regime has discontinued the penny. So I can't give you my 2 cents because
I
they
love
won't
that.
give
I
it
love
to
that.
you.
Give me your nickel or your dime. Give me your nickel or your dime.
Let me give you my nickel. Here's the thing. and especially coming from the perspective of what you do, right?
Yes.
Coaching people and counseling and all of that, and what I do, coaching people and motivating stuff. Yes, the starting nickel I can give you will say, of course, honesty is always the best policy, right?
Yes.
Like we say in relationships, communication is key. So at the surface, yes, absolutely. And it should be. SHOULD. It should be. However, I say, it makes me think of the saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The true answer comes in the viewpoint, the vantage point of the two people in the relationship. Because here's what I've seen and some experience with. Let's say, I think, in fact, your post, it was like, what's the most important factor? Total honesty, saving, stuff for the other person or whatever, or dishonesty. And here's the thing. That saying that you said, I tell people a lot of things are cliche because they're so common, and it has some evidence behind it. Notice I didn't say truth because there's a big T truth and a little T truth. Big
Yes.
T truth is fact. We can prove it. Little T truth has a lot of opinions, and it's my vantage point. If you and I are standing on both sides of the table, you say it's a six. It's a six. I say, no, big bro, it's a nine. It's a nine. And we argue. And we walk on each other, the other side of the table, and say, oh, you're right. It is a six. So
Yes.
I think, so here's now my nickel. I would say, yes, honesty is the best policy, but there's a question that comes behind it. Are both parties involved in the relationship willing to handle, not able, but willing to handle the truth at all costs? And that's where I think sometimes there's a fine line and there's a subtle dance. It's like a dance. And I talk, sometimes when I'm teaching the coaching classes, I say, when you're in a coaching conversation with your clients, it's a subtle dance, and you're responding to your partner. Your client is leading the way. You're responding to your partner. So same thing in a relationship. You're always responding to the moves and the dance that your partner does. So I think it takes a certain level of maturity for that statement to be absolutely 100% true. In other words, that honesty is the best policy. Because at the surface, yes, I think it is. However, is it always? Here's what I'll say. Is it always the best? Is it the best? Yes. But is it always the best in certain circumstances, depending on the two parties involved? That's where I would say no.
All right. All right.
I know that was a long response, but that's just my honest opinion. And just my short little 40, barely 40 plus years of life. That's my honest opinion.
I like that. I like that. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
so hopefully everyone heard that. Everyone heard that. And someone else is saying not everyone can handle face honesty. Not everyone can handle face honesty.
hmm
You should always know your partner's feelings. Okay, guys. So let me ask you this. Okay, and Michael, thank you for calling in.
absolutely.
If I want to put it, I'm going to put another question out real quick. Okay, and you're welcome to stay on, or you can call back. Either way, but thank you for calling in, bro, and thank you for the interaction, the connection.
Absolutely.
All right, all right. So let me ask, guys. All right, the couple I was coaching that brought this question forth. Okay, one of the things he was saying was that he said, Darrell, I am tired of pretending. I am tired of pretending. I want my wife of over 9 years to know the real me. I want her to know the real me. And I feel that up until this point, she don't know the real me because I've been pretending, trying to protect her feelings. And I said, ouch, ouch. Okay. So guys, when we look at is honesty always the best policy and everything handling the truth, ideally we would want to be able to share the truth. Okay. But then again, it goes back to expectations. Okay. Expectations. Now, let me ask you this. Can expectations be set after the relationship has been started? Okay. Ideally, you set the expectations at the beginning. Okay. I was just fortunate enough, blessed enough to have done that in my past relationship, set the expectations in the beginning. Okay. However, guys, here's the thing. Here's the things. Um, you have to be willing. My second point is prioritizing expectations. You have to be willing to also go through the what ifs. Go through the what ifs. Difficulties are going to arise. As I said earlier, we are the total of our experiences. For the person that have experienced a lot of bad relationships, their baggage is full. Their baggage is full. Guess what? They're not going to like necessarily the truth because it's going to be a lot for them to handle. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? Okay, what do we do in that situation? I told y'all tonight is not the night, but future episode, we're going to look at, am I responsible for the baggage that my significant other brought into the relationship? Am I responsible for that? Okay, we're not going to do it tonight because that in itself is a series. That is a series, okay? But we will address it. We will address it in another episode, okay? So are you willing to struggle through the what ifs? Difficulties will arise. How are you going to get through them? How are you going to get through them? My pastor said in a marriage workshop that him and First Lady did, he says sometimes when you know it's a heated conversation and you know that there's stuff that's going to be said that your significant other don't want to hear, sometimes you got to create a distraction. Sometimes you got to create a distraction. And so I was all ears. I was all ears. He said, have anybody ever tried arguing or having a hard conversation when you're both naked? I was like, ooh, all right, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Because then it takes the seriousness out of the conversation to where you can't hate the other. Well, I guess you can, but ideally you wouldn't want to necessarily hate the other person if you're having a conversation and your eyes are seeing what is seeing. Okay. So you have to be willing to go through the difficulty parts that's going to arise when it comes to communication in relationships. Okay, responsibility, accountability, responsibility and accountability. Okay, um, responsibility and accountability in communication, guys. You have to be willing to say, am I going to consider their feelings or how am I going to address it? I told y'all earlier with the parent. Earlier with the parent. Okay, I told her. Okay, now guys, this is a parent situation. Okay, with children, with youth. I simply share it with her. Sometimes we have to soften the conversation. We have to soften the conversation. Why? Because talking to her daughter as, hey, I need you to clean your room up, for a teenager is not going to happen. Okay, soften the conversation. Honey, I need you to do this for me because da 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 da. Okay, soften the conversation. Okay, one of the things that when it comes to communication, especially in relationships, one of the things that happens a lot is, Prissy, thank you for joining. Hi, how you doing? Brother Paul, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. One of the things that happens oftentimes is we communicate out of what we're feeling. Okay, we communicate out of what we're feeling, not out of what we're needing. Let me repeat that. We communicate out of what we're feeling, not out of what we're needing. Okay. Now, when I say that, guys, a lot of times with communication, we lead with our feelings, not out of a desire to change. Okay. Let me give you another example. Okay. Let me give you another example. Young lady I was coaching, she said, Darrell, I am tired of my fiance not doing what's expected. I said, what do you mean not doing what is expected? She said, men are supposed to always give their ladies flowers. I said, ooh, ouch. Who told you that? Who told you that? She said, they. Now, guys, you all know, if you followed me for a while, you know I despise they. I despise they because they, I think I've been asking since I came out of my mom's womb. Who are they? Who are they? I've heard it my whole life. Who are they? Nobody can give me an answer to who they are. Okay. And one of the things is I want to know who they are. Why? So that I can meet them face to face, sit across the table from them, shake their hand and tell them, you are misleading so many people. You are misleading so many people. Can you please just shut up? All right, let me rephrase that. I need you to please be quiet. Lower your voice tone and not tell so many people what to do because they're believing you. Okay, so can we think of a way to do it better? Okay, that's what I would say to they. Okay, so either way, she said, my fiance He never ever gets me flowers. So I simply asked her, I say, are you the person that knows how to take care of flowers? She said, yeah, you put them in a vase. And I laughed. I said, well, honey, let me share something with you. They normally come in a vase. They normally come in a vase. So you don't have to put them in a vase. Well, I was always told that you revase them. You put them in another vase to give them a new home. That's all right. I can go with that. Okay. What else do you do? And you talk to them. It's all right. So let's set the example. Let's set the example, guys. You can tell I work with children, and with children sometimes you have to make the picture very clear. You have to make the picture very clear. You have to explain. Okay, one of the things I like to do with children and the youth and the teenagers that I work with is put yourself in the other person's shoes. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. All that simply means is how how would you respond if you were in their shoes? Okay, so let's take this. I'm sorry. So here we go. Here we go. You just brought me some flowers home. You just brought me some flowers home, and I took the flowers and I put them in another vase and I sit them on the counter. Boom. And day three of the flowers, you notice I walked by the flowers and said, "Oh, flowers, you're still looking cute. You're still growing." Da da da. Boom. Day five, flowers, you're still looking da da da. However, day five, some of the greenery is falling from the flowers and everything, and the flowers are starting to look a different colors. Okay. Day seven come along and you say, honey, have you watered the flowers? No. Honey, the flowers aren't getting any light, any sunlight. I respond, no. And then you get into your feelings. Honey, I paid $80 for those flowers for you, and you're not taking care of the flowers. Well, first of all, I didn't ask for the flowers. You got the flowers. And then your response is, well, I got the flowers because I was always told that you get flowers for the person you love. Well, honey, I don't like flowers. I would have preferred a box of Chex Mix, okay, or a bottle of good drinking water or something, okay. Nice bottle of the non-alcoholic, bubbly, okay. So here it is, guys. Okay, we can't always go by they. We can't always go by they. Okay, we have to make sure that we are setting the expectation of what we expect. Okay, so like I told the mom, reframe how we say it. Reframe how we say it. Okay, so here it is. Here it is. In difficult conversations, guys, we have to be able to distract, put ourselves in the other person's shoes, talk not out of our emotions, out of what we need and what we want to happen from the conversation. Okay, let me repeat that. Have the conversation out of what we want and what we need versus out of our feelings. Okay, out of our feelings is, hey, da 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 da. Out of what I need is, I need this from you because da 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 da. Okay, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. Okay, who's responsible to make sure communication happens? Guys, I get so tired of hearing Bama Babe, thank you for joining. Raul, thank you for joining. Renee Bush, thank you for joining. Okay, TikTok, thank you all for joining. Please share it. Guys, I will tell you this. Okay, I get so frustrated when I hear a relationship and a marriage is 50-50. I get so frustrated when I hear that a marriage and a relationship is 20-80, 40-60. Guys, a marriage and a relationship, a committed relationship. Okay, what is a committed relationship? How does it differ from a marriage? A marriage consists of vows. Okay, committed relationship. There's a commitment. Okay, it's leading toward marriage. It's leading toward marriage. Okay, this is a person that is long term. It's not somebody you date for a couple of months and and there's other people there. Okay, so committed relationships. Only because I do know that there are people that don't believe in marriage. There are people that don't believe in marriage. That's a whole nother conversation for another episode. Okay, but guys, here's the deal. Here's the deal. We have to recognize that in a committed relationship, in a marriage, it is 100 100. You give me 100% of what it's going to take to make this marriage, this relationship work, and I am going to give you 100% of what it takes to make this relationship and marriage work. A marriage, a committed relationship is 100 100. It is not 40 60 80 20 50 50. Okay? If we look at 50 50, you give me 50%, who are you giving the other 50% to? 80 20. You give me 80%, who are you giving the other 20 to? Okay? 60 40. Who are you giving the other percent to? I want 100%. I want 100%. What do I mean by that? Is I am going to give you all of me in terms I want all of you. We are going to communicate to make this work. We're going to communicate to make this work. Okay, we're not getting in it just to see what happens. We already know what's going to happen. What we know is going to happen is we're going to interlock and we're going to go against the odds. What I mean when I go against the odds is 1 plus 1 equals 2. I said in my book, Relationship Realities, that marriage goes against the odds. Okay? 1 plus 1 equals 2. But with a marriage, we're taking 1 plus 1 and we're intertwining them to where they're one. Okay? I like that. I like that. I like that, Mike. All of me. Correct. All of me. Okay? We're making 1 plus 1, 1. We're locked together. Okay? I want 100% of you. I'm going to give you 100% of me in return. Okay? Guys, that's a committed relationship. That is a marriage. Okay? That is a marriage. Okay? We should not have to give. I remember years ago, many moons ago, there was there was a Dorothy, thank you for joining. You are absolutely correct. I love it. I love it. There was a comedian that said that when we first meet people, they're meeting a representation of us. They're meeting a representation of us. Okay, they're not meeting the real. Denise, thank you for joining. They're not meeting the real us. Why? Because if they knew the real us, then guess what? They probably wouldn't be interested. Okay, guys, here's the catch. Here's the catch to that. If you know this is the person you want to spend the rest of your life with forever, guess what? They need to know the real you. They need to know the real you. Okay. Ground rules, guys, in communication. Ground rules in communication. Okay. As I try and get to my end here. Guys, please remember, you are welcome to call in. I've had one caller tonight. Two responded to my website and a couple of texts. Guys, remember, you're welcome to call in 614-205-0391, 614-205-0391, website DARRELLJAMES.org, DarrellJames.org, or on here. Here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. There has to be, in our relationships and our marriages, there has to be an open communication to where the other person is knowing what we need, our desires, and they're knowing how to meet us where we need to be met to make sure that we're that's happening. Okay, at the same time, guys, it is mutual. Okay, it is mutual. Okay, we have to be able to guys, I do apologize. I had a problem with TikTok, but it's fixed now. It's fixed. We have to be able to understand the needs of the other person. Okay, we have to be able to put ourselves in their shoes. Okay, communication. Here it is. I don't want you to come at me disrespectfully. So guess what? I'm not going to come at you disrespectfully. When I communicate with you, I expect a certain thing because I want that in return. Okay, our communication, just like our relationships and marriages, have to be reciprocal. Okay, I want this, so therefore I'm going to give it to you because I want it in return. Okay, It is just, and I'm not going to say just that simple. If it was just that simple, guess what? There wouldn't be a such thing as divorce, okay? But either way it goes, we have to understand that in communication, we have to be 100. We have to be 100. As Mike said earlier, all of me, okay? There are times in relationships because of some of the stuff and our experiences that we've been through, communication tends to be very difficult. Why? Because we're not used to it. I coached a couple. I coached a couple to where I wind up getting them, connecting them with professional help because the trauma was so bad. The trauma was so bad, and the insecurities were so bad that in all the honesty that happened, guess what? The honesty was thought to be a lie. Why? Because it was not expected. It was not expected. Sometimes a person could be so honest that oftentimes the other person will not receive it as honesty because they're not accustomed to it. Yes, what's going on, Mike?
DJ, first of all, I called back because I wanted to keep you. You gave us the first preacher close. I'm getting ready to close. She was like, as I bring it to a close, I'm like, no, don't go. So I'm home free. I'm headed home from the gym. I wanted to piggyback on something you were saying, if I may.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Earlier, we were talking about expectations, right? And
yes.
You said something in when you went further and you said, here's a question, right? And I was still listening. I had pulled off. I forgot I was still online.
Lily, thank you for joining.
There's another E word. It's an iteration. I think those sound iterations, right? When it's the same letter. Anyway, experience. And I think experience changes expectations, right?
Yes.
And so when you just said what you said a few minutes ago, it prompted me. I said, I got to call back because this the point right there. You're meeting the first initial meeting and getting to know is my representative. It's who I'm sending. It's like my secretary. It's who I'm sending to represent me. Because it's something in me that sees something in you where I want to go further, right?
Yes.
And I feel like if we did it again, going back to the first question, right? If it should be this way, if we did like it should be, it would be a lot easier. But the other thing I want to, a comical twist, because, we like our comedy. The other thing you said your pastor said that the first one, a distraction. That sounds just like something from a man. Have you ever tried to argue naked? No, because I think every woman would say, "Oh, what you think we finna do? We finna talk?" No, we're not talking about nothing. You can keep your clothes on, little man. Like this second to the floor, we ain't gonna get nothing done. Like, no way. But I like the premise of distraction, but at the same time, here's the thing, Darrell. I feel like what happens so often is the masculine versus the feminine is always at work. By the way, every man, every woman, every whatever, both masculine and feminine exist, right?
Yes.
We have more present at any given point. But a lot of times, I thought about that when you said it. I'm like, okay, for the woman, so you want to distract? Are you listening to me? You want to distract me? Are we talking about it? So it's just so many factors, again, in that, like you said, a relationship, and a lot of stuff you hit on, too, in your book. Y'all need to get the book. If you already got it, everybody listening, Relationship Realities by Darrell James, you go get it. But, yeah, bro, it's such a good conversation, man, and like you said, there's so many other dovetails that you go in different directions, and it's just got to be a series,
It will be.
Again, let me say this before I get off, just like last time. Congratulations again. Number 2, I'm proud of you. Make sure you celebrate. Make sure you celebrate yourself for this and how you'll get a cold glass of water when you finish.
I definitely will.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to do this. And, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And I know you hear the thing, everybody got a podcast, they say, no, they don't. I hate when I hear people say that because it's almost like a discouragement to the person who wants to start. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Big ups to you. Y'all make sure y'all tell people about it. Share it. Support. And, bro, I love you, man, and I can't wait to the next one.
All right, awesome. Thank you, bro. Thank you. You have a good one. And love you, too. All right, then.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So here it is. As you did remind me, and I said earlier. Okay, this one could be a very lengthy conversation, and as he was saying, a series. Okay, here it is, guys. We have to understand that when it comes to communication relationships, we have to be willing to communicate our needs. We have to be willing to communicate our needs. What are our needs? We want to be in a relationship or a marriage to where we are comfortable, where we know that we are receiving what we need. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of relationships and marriages now, they're based upon our experiences. Our experiences. Okay. We judge the new person based upon the old person and the old people. Okay. Guys, going into a relationship, a marriage, at least love the person enough to give them a fresh start. Love the person enough to give them a new you. Okay, simply meaning set your expectations with your communication in your relationship or your marriage. Okay, leave nothing out. Be very detailed. Okay, be willing to struggle through the what ifs. Be willing to struggle through the difficulties. And guess what, guys? Difficulties are going to arise. Difficulties are going to arise. In anything where you're going against the odds, once again, you're trying to take one plus one, and instead of making them two, you're trying to make them one. Okay, so you're going against the odds. In anything where you're going against the odds, guys, you are always going to hit difficulties. You're going to hit obstacles. You're going to hit hurdles. Okay, the hurdles you have to be willing to get over them. The obstacles you have to be willing to knock them over, get through them. Okay, you have to be willing to understand who's responsible. Okay, who's accountable. Okay, guys, all I'm saying is know when to look for other sources. Okay, as I told you in my first one, as I told you in my first podcast on Monday. Okay, I have a friend by the name of Mr. Friends by the name of Mr. and Ms. Google. Mr. and Ms. Google. Okay, they're so in tune with what's on the block. Okay, that they simply can answer and address any concerns that you may encounter. Okay, here's the thing though, guys. Here's the thing. Mr. Mirror's Google, sometimes they get confused and give us too much information. So you have to be willing to decipher, discern, a level of discernment to know what is right, what you need to hear, and what you don't. Okay, you have to be willing to shift and change and go through the baggage. Okay, guys, one last thing in closing, because like I say, I'm at an hour and 7 minutes. My goal is 45 minutes an hour. My goal is 45 minutes an hour. Um, I do want to say that if the communication is so hard to where it's very difficult, guys, please reach out for help. Please reach out to help. Myself, I'm a relationship. I like to say relationship expert, relationship coach. Okay, as someone said, the book Relationship Realities gives you a lot of realities with relationships. Oftentimes we get in them thinking that they're all going to be good. Not always the case. Okay, Relationship Realities, the book. If you don't have it, please get it. Okay, guys, please reach out. I can connect you with coaches as well as professional help if needed. Okay, guys, thank you all for joining in tonight. Please share it. I will be doing the next one. I will be posting the times. I'll be looking at family life, parenting and family life, and we're going to rotate. Tonight was relationships. Monday night was family and parenting life. Parenting and family life. I'm sorry. So my next one will be parenting and family life, and then after that another relationship. So we'll be looking at another really heavy topic with relationships. Guys, if you like the live tonight, the podcast tonight, please make sure you share it. Please make sure you share it with someone. Um, Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Website darrelljames.org. darrelljames.org. DARRELLJAMES .org. darrelljames.org. DARRELLJAMES.org. Guys, I just thought about it. Okay, check out the website now. I got rid of all the AI pictures. My 15-year-old granddaughter Amaya, she's the best photographer that she's really good. Um, she did a nice photo shoot with me. I got rid of all the AI pictures. I put in real pictures, real time pictures from the photo shoot. Check them out. DarrellJames.org. Or guys, during the show you can always call and get involved. 614-205-0391. 614-205-0391. You can also text that number anytime and leave a message, guys. It is an unmonitored phone, as a matter of fact. And I am cutting off, putting on the do not disturb on that phone. But you're welcome to text and leave a message, okay? Guys, remember, life, love, and loud truth with DJ. Thank you for joining, and you all have a good night.